Imagine yourself in a delicate situation where your wife, unsatisfied with her own appearance, confesses to feeling unhappy and out of shape. Driven by the desire to help her, you decide to finance a gym membership and personal trainer, hoping she will find happiness in her own skin. But as she transforms and gains confidence, she starts attending the gym with a regularity and enthusiasm that goes beyond the norm. Rumors begin to spread, whispers of a possible affair, but you refuse to believe them. Until, unable to ignore the growing doubts, you decide to investigate, leading to discoveries that will change everything. Join me in this story of love, betrayal, and the search for truth. On a quiet Saturday afternoon, Louis watched Kate as she flipped through a fashion magazine in the living room. She sighed occasionally, looking at the models on the glossy pages with a mixture of admiration and frustration. Finally, she closed the magazine abruptly and said, her tone laden with sadness, "Louis, I've been feeling so bad about myself lately. Nothing I wear seems to look good, and I feel horrible." Louis, sitting beside her, took her hand tenderly and replied in a soft voice, "Kate, you're beautiful to me no matter what. But if this is making you unhappy, let's find a solution together." It didn't take long for Louis to make a practical decision. He researched the best gyms in the area and found one with excellent reviews. Additionally, he hired Alex, a highly recommended personal trainer, hoping he could help Kate efficiently and motivatingly achieve her goals. When Louis presented the idea to Kate, her eyes lit up. "You'd do that for me? It means so much, Louis. Thank you for being so understanding and supportive." She hugged him, and he felt a wave of relief and happiness to see a smile form on her lips. In the first few months, Kate was radiant with the progress she was making. Louis often accompanied her to the gym and felt proud watching her so committed and happy. She shared every new success with him, from losing the first few pounds to completing increasingly challenging exercise routines. "Louis, today I lifted more weight than ever before," she'd excitedly recount during dinner. He'd smile, responding, "That's amazing, Kate. I always knew you could do anything you set your mind to." Over time, Kate's physical transformation became more and more noticeable. Her silhouette was more defined, her movements more agile, and her face radiated health and confidence. What began as cautious 3 times a week workout soon turned into a daily routine of total dedication to the gym. Louis noticed that not only the frequency, but also the duration of each of Kate's visits increased. She started leaving the house early in the morning and often didn't return until well after dinner. "I'm just taking advantage of a new spinning class," they added. "And then there's a wonderful yoga session to relax afterwards," she'd explain when Louis expressed curiosity about her new schedule. Although initially proud, Louis began to feel a twinge of insecurity. One night, as they were preparing dinner together, he tried to broach the subject gently. "Kate, I love seeing how happy and healthy you are, but I miss our time together. Do you think we could try to synchronize our schedules a bit?" Kate smiled, wrapping her arms around him, and replied affectionately, "I promise we'll find more time together, Louis. I don't want you to feel like you're losing me to the gym." He wanted to believe her, he really did, but the knot of doubt was already forming in his mind, fueled by the growing physical and emotional distance between them. Rumors about Kate began to subtly spread through the neighborhood, infiltrating conversations like an unexpected breeze. Louis started overhearing whispers among neighbors at neighborhood parties and casual street encounters. Comments like, "Did you see how much time Kate spends at the gym now? Seems her and her personal trainer are quite close," were said with a raised eyebrow or meaningful look. Louis tried to steer clear of these conversations, defending Kate whenever possible. "She's just dedicated to her health. That's a good thing," he'd reply, trying to hide his growing unease. With each new comment, however, the seed of doubt planted in his heart germinated a little more. One afternoon, while watering plants in the garden, a neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, approached with a concerned expression. "Louis, it's none of my business, but I worry about you two. It seems like your wife and her trainer are a little too much, if you know what I mean." Louis gripped the hose tighter, the jet of water wavering slightly in his hands. "I appreciate your concern, Mrs. Thompson, but I'm sure there's nothing more than professionalism between them," he said, although his voice betrayed a trace of uncertainty. As the days went by, these whispers, once easy to dismiss, became a constant buzz in his mind, a disturbance he could no longer ignore so easily. Louis's unease reached a critical point on that Thursday afternoon, the sun setting and the house enveloped in a tense silence. Sitting alone in the living room, shadows lengthening across the walls, he made a decision that would change everything. With a heavy heart and trembling hands, he rose, determined to end the agony of uncertainty. Driven by a mixture of desperation and the need to know the truth, Louis headed to the bedroom where Kate was taking a long bath, using the sound of running water to cover his movements. He found Kate's cell phone on the dresser, its screen illuminating the room with intermittent notifications. Hesitant, but propelled by the need to know, Louis unlocked the device with a passcode he knew by heart. What he found in the messaging app was a devastating blow to his heart. There were dozens of messages exchanged between Kate and Alex, clearly transgressing the line of professionalism. They spoke of workout routines, but the messages quickly evolved into brazen flirtations and plans for private rendezvous. Reading each message, Louis felt as if the air was being sucked out of the room. "So, after the workout, how about we continue the session somewhere else?" one message from Alex suggested. Kate responded with suggestive emojis and promises of secret meetups. The shock and disbelief made Louis' hands tremble even more as he gripped the phone. He felt a mixture of anger, betrayal, and desolation invade his being. Each word read like a hammer demolishing the foundation of his marriage. After discovering the messages, Louis was visibly shaken, lost in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. With each confused, concerned look Kate cast his way, he withdrew further inward. She, sensing the drastic change in his behavior, repeatedly asked, "Louis, what's going on? You've barely spoken to me today. Is everything okay between us?" But he, consumed by the pain and betrayal the messages revealed, merely shook his head, unable to verbalize his discovery. At dinner, he barely touched his food, and Kate continued trying to understand the sudden silence and emotional distance. "You're scaring me, Louis. Please talk to me. Whatever it is, we can work it out," she insisted, her voice laced with anguished urgency. He simply looked at her, his eyes betraying the inner turmoil, but said not a word. This wall of silence only amplified her anxiety, making her question what she could have possibly done to provoke such a reaction. That night, as Kate retreated to the bedroom, hopeful that things might improve after a good night's sleep, Louis grabbed a blanket and headed to the couch. He made himself comfortable, his heart heavy, thoughts swirling around the messages he read and reread in his mind. He spent the night awake, grappling with the decision of whether to confront her with evidence of her infidelity or not. The next day, still gripped by controlled anger, Louis decided to take a more strategic approach. He didn't want a direct confrontation without having concrete proof to back up his suspicions. So he reached out to his friend Mark, who frequented the same gym as Kate and had a knack for photography. "Mark, I need a favor. It's not easy to ask, but could you try to take some pictures of Kate and Alex at the gym? Just so I can be sure before making any decisions," Louis explained in a hushed, urgent phone call. Mark, a loyal and understanding friend, agreed immediately. "Of course, Louis. I get it, and I'll help however I can. I'll be discreet and send you whatever I manage to get." Over the following days, Mark sent Louis several discrete photos and videos. They were images of Kate and Alex together, some showing the two in postures that were a bit more intimate than appropriate for a strictly professional relationship. With each new image, Louis' suspicions slowly transformed into certainty. With this growing body of evidence, Louis' determination solidified. He knew he needed to confront the situation, but wanted to do so in a way that left no room for doubt or excuses. The collection of photos was his silent weapon, preparing him for the moment when he would lay everything out in the open. Armed with the meticulously compiled digital dossier from his friend, Louis decided it was time to face the reality he had so feared. With the evidence on his phone, he felt like a detective about to crack a case, but the weight in his heart reminded him the drama was painfully personal. He chose a Tuesday afternoon, just another day in Kate's training routine, to make his surprise appearance at the gym. As he arrived, his stomach was in knots, and he felt a mixture of nervousness and resolution. He found Kate and Alex together, laughing as they adjusted equipment for the next exercise. Without hesitation, Louis approached with firm strides, each beat of his heart echoing in his ears. "Kate, we need to talk. Now," he said, his voice steady but laced with an emotion he couldn't completely conceal. Kate, caught off guard, looked at him with wide eyes. "Louis, what? How so?" She seemed genuinely confused, but concern quickly took over her features as she saw the seriousness in his gaze. Louis then began showing the photos and videos Mark had sent. Each image was accompanied by a succinct, direct explanation. "This looks professional to you?" he asked, each word laced with disappointment and accusation. Alex tried to interject. "Louis, it's not what it looks like." But Louis quickly cut him off. "I don't want to hear anything from you. This is between me and my wife." Kate began to cry, tears flowing freely as she saw the compromising images not only of her fidelity, but of the trust her husband had in her. Faced with the incontestable evidence, the atmosphere in the gym became tense and charged with emotion. Those around stopped their workouts, drawn to the unfolding drama before them. Louis, phone still in hand, continued displaying the messages and photos, making it clear to all that his suspicion was not unfounded. Kate, utterly devastated by the situation, covered her face with her hands, sobbing as the proof of her infidelity was exposed. I'm so sorry, Louis. I never wanted. This should have never happened." She managed to say between sobs. The words came out choked, muffled by her crying. She looked around at the faces of the gym-goers, some with expressions of pity, others of judgment. Feeling cornered and humiliated, she fell to her knees before Louis, hands outstretched in a pleading gesture. "Please, Louis, I beg you, forgive me. I know I messed up, but I love you and don't want to lose you." Louis, however, remained motionless, his expression hard and closed off. The pain and betrayal he felt were too intense to allow any sign of forgiveness in that moment. "I need time, Kate. Time to think about all of this and what deuces even means anymore after your betrayal," he finally said, the words heavy and definitive. With that, he turned and walked out of the gym, leaving Kate kneeling and crying, alone in the midst of the silent crowd. As Louis drove back home, the silence of the car was deafening, each thought echoing with the clarity of a bell. The road stretched out ahead, but all he could see was Kate's tear-stained face, the sound of her sobs reverberating in his mind. He felt a void, as if a significant part of his life had been brutally ripped away. The end of his marriage, something he'd never imagined could happen, now seemed a painfully real possibility. At home, the familiar surroundings felt strange and uncomfortable. Louis moved through each room, each filled with memories of the happy years they'd spent together. He sat on the living room couch, the place where they had so often shared laughter and dreams for the future. Now, those memories seemed distant, almost as if they belonged to another life. With a deep sigh, Louis reflected on what to do next. Although part of him longed for reconciliation, another part felt too betrayed to even consider that option. After a restless night, Louis decided he needed time and space to think. With the dawn, he packed a few things and left the house without a word to Kate, who watched him with a mixture of confusion and sadness. In the days that followed, Louis reflected on everything that had happened, and although the pain of betrayal cut deep, he began considering paths towards his own recovery and future happiness. And you? What would you do in Louis' place? Comment on what you would do. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to keep following more stories like this one. See you in a new story.